Girivardhana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Do we have an English Bhagavad Gita? Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurum Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tannamano Ishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Karamayam Tadati Svadantikam. So, the topic tonight is austerity as opposed to sense gratification. And how do you know how much austerity you're capable of performing? And how do you know how much sense gratification you're capable of giving up, or how much you need? And is it okay? Is sense gratification actually okay? And what if you need it? What do you do? How do you deal with it? So I wanted to read something from the 6th chapter that talks about this. Sixth chapter is talking about how to do yoga. And so there's two aspects. One aspect is doing the yoga, and the other aspect is your life. When you're not doing the yoga, when you're not doing the asana, you have a life. And how that life affects your practice of the asana and then the dhyana, the meditation. So what you do in your life, let's translate it for us. What we do in our life can affect our japa, right? So it's not like you just sit down and chant japa and then you try to chant really good rounds, and what you've done today, yesterday, the day before has no effect. Has an effect, right? Maybe today, maybe tonight you go to bed at 9 o'clock and you get up the next morning at 9 a.m. And then you go to chant your rounds. It'll have some effect. You slept too much. Yes? Anybody need to sleep 12 hours? Unless you're sick, you don't need to. But sometimes due to the effects of ignorance or other things, maybe you sleep too much. What about before you chant your rounds, you eat a feast? 23 puris, 3 scoops of halva, 6 pakoras, sweet rice, gulab jamuns, sandeshras. Then you go to chant your rounds. Obviously, you'll have an effect. Right? Better don't eat anything. Right? So you can't just say, I'm going to chant my rounds, I'm going to chant good rounds. It also, you're affected by your lifestyle. So that's what Krishna's speaking about in this verse. And I don't offhand know the number. So give me 1 second. Yes. This is text 16. Nat yash natastu yogo stina chaikantam anashnataha nachati swapna shilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. You understand Sanskrit a little bit? Something. There's no possibility of one's becoming a yogi. O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little. Interesting, right? Because you would think if you eat too little, that would be good. Right? Krishna's saying eating too little could be a problem. Too much austerity. So really what Krishna's saying is too much sense gratification is not good, but on the other hand, too much austerity is not good. Or I'll put it another way. Krishna's saying too much sense gratification is not good, but too little sense gratification is not good. Sounds strange? So my message to you all is make sure you get enough sense gratification. Do you have any questions? You go, that was the best class I've ever heard. It was the most satisfying class. No one's ever told me to get as much sense gratification I need. But Krishna is saying that in this verse. Get the sense gratification you need. Get the sleep you need. Get the food you need. And the other things you need. Let's read the purport. Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There's no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna, will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. You probably know, or maybe you don't, but I think many of you know, that in the early days of the movement, Prabhupada was speaking to people, preaching to people who were using drugs. So one of the ways he got them off drugs was to feed them prasadam and tell them to eat a lot. So it actually encouraged them to eat a lot, which sounds like it's against what Krishna is saying here, right? Doesn't it? Jagannath Shami Ki Jai. I'm going to move the camera so everybody can see the details. If you have any friends, my Facebook page, we're broadcasting. And we're going to have darshan in the background. So Prabhupada would encourage them to eat, and he would say, eat up to here, or eat up to here. I guess if you eat up to here, here is better. He said, eat up to here. And it was funny, but true. On the appearance days of various acharyas, we'd have feasts. And we actually thought we were supposed to eat as much as we could possibly eat. So when we were full, we would keep eating. Because Prabhupada encouraged these young devotees to eat a lot because they were addicted to drugs and sex. And this was one of the ways that he was helping them. So it kind of became a thing that we would eat as much prasadam as we could. And then later on, when we were more Krishna conscious, then we would reduce the eating. So it actually helped in the beginning to eat a lot. Yes? You have that experience? Better gulab jamans than ganja, right? So there's one or the other, better you overeat gulab jamans. Something like that. Bunjate te dagam papam ye pachant yatma karanat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. So now here Prabhupada is saying, he's not saying prasadam doesn't taste good. Prasadam tastes good. But he's saying, because you first offered it to Krishna, it's not sense gratification anymore. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of food offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fast. So Prabhupada's saying, we fast when we're supposed to fast on certain holidays, but we don't just fast all the time, starve ourselves and so forth. You know, sometimes the devotees got into fasting. So they wanted to stay up all night and chant on Ekadasi and fast. So that's good, right? Any austerity you can do is good. So they asked Prabhupada, can we do this? Can we stay up all night and chant? So he said, yes, but don't sleep the next day. Because then it's not an austerity. It's just, you just change your sleeping time. From 10 o'clock at night to basically 5 in the morning or whatever, when the sun rose. Then you go to sleep. So austerity means cut down the sleep. And here in this verse it's saying to be regulated. So what would be better? Trying to do an austerity that you can't do and eventually you're trying to stay up all night and you eventually just fall asleep at 4 o'clock and get up at 10 and with no rounds chanted, or just go to bed at 10, get up at 4 and chant your rounds. What would be better? So it would be better if you could stay up all night and actually do it. But until you're able to do it, it's better you just keep your regulation. So that way austerity can be harmful in that it, well, there's another way it can be harmful also. Sometimes when you do austerity too much, Prabhupada says it can make your heart, it can make your heart hard. Too much austerity. I'm austere. Something like that. I'm tough, I'm rough. And austerity can also make you proud. I'm better. I do austerity, you can't do the austerity I do, I'm better than you. So if you did an austerity and it made you proud, then that austerity would be detrimental, right? If you did an austerity and made your heart hard, that austerity would be a problem, right? Yes? Is it tall enough? Can you get it like this? Yeah. give us a second. Hold on, everyone. In Facebook land, there's 500,000 people watching. Did you know that? Only joking. Can you go lower?